Right. Welcome to spring in London. And I was thinking about this for a bit because, obviously with the continuing themes of the history of propaganda, that, it really sucks to lose friends or apprentice, or not apprenticeships, acquaintances. And just because of differences in politics and belief structures and so on and so forth. And it's very childish, in my opinion, because things have to change. Things have to change. It's of my opinion and of my observation that's the only course of action and the only constant in life and in the universe is change. So no social movement is concrete, right? The construct does not continue as people get older and people change ourselves. So again, I'm sad about it, but live and let live. And I'm even more sad about it because this obviously I don't have a savior complex, but when someone is obviously suffering and they don't know that they're suffering, you can't force a horse to water, as the old saying is, right? Because obviously I'm a throwback and I belong in a museum, right? I'm behind the times, same with everybody else that's of some sort of reasonability. That is the counterculture now and has been for a while. And as someone who's lived through this personally on a first-hand account and watched people turn from wonderful young people into absolute monsters, right? That's the Animal Farm paradox, that the evil that you take down, you can eventually live long enough to become it. You mind that? You're a bit impolite. That was impolite. Yeah. So when I consider, the gay propaganda, transgenderism, and this grievance feminism, if you think about it, the true feminism is Christianity, because it's focused on the family unit, and there is no feminism without children. There isn't. That's the way it goes. And then so when you see things like women shaking and selling their bodies online with OnlyFans and these the massive amount of pornography that's on the internet and the easy access that it has, it just basically makes you worthless, like absolutely worthless. Some women will make money in a short term, but there's an expiration date on attractiveness. Even I one day, or maybe tomorrow, could get hit by a truck and my face torn off and rubbed against the pavement, right? And have massive scars, disfigurements, or I get mauled by a dog, my face gets chewed off. Not this one, obviously. She would never do that. No, you wouldn't, would you? Because that's the true ugliness of humanity. And again, we have to hold a funeral for transgenderism and for feminism, because it's dead. It's absolutely dead. It has led to too many mental health issues, an increase in suicides, the degradation of family units and society as a whole. It's a bridge too far, so to speak. And I think a lot about the military, and all those honkers in the Air Force, right? Obviously with my direct affiliation in previous with cadets, and having worked on government aircraft and Canadian Forces aircraft, and aircraft from other agencies that end up in service to intelligence communities and well, you know, and also firefighting. You know, the CL-215, 415. We're talking about the Global 7000, the GlobalEye, the Twin Otter, King Airs. All of these things in service to other people, for the safety of everyone in this country. You know, I've sacrificed a lot of my life, actually almost my entire life, in service to other people. And so it's really insulting when, you know, I don't feel appreciated. And when, you know, people in the military are not appreciated for the things and the lengths that they go through, in order to, you know, keep us from killing each other, so to speak. Because if there's no laws, right, if there's no basic social contract, right, you can't defund the police and expect, you know, everything to self-organize all of a sudden. You know, oh, this utopia. But really, because all it does is, in a power vacuum, is give opportunity to the exploitation. So say, you know, again, the quote by Plato. I'm going to put this into another video, because, you know, people aren't getting the message. You know, I'm going to have to keep doing these videos with the history of propaganda, until people get the message, right? That you know, every single one of our actions and contributions through collectiveness, right? Or our co-op, in cooperation with each other. That, you know, without people, there's no point, right? And obviously, you know, I keep losing friends, or acquaintances, or you know, options for work, because I'm speaking out in opposition to this stuff, but having previously supported it, and having such an education and direct experience of, you know, the influence upon young women in my life. You know, a lot of ex-girlfriends, and you know, seeing and hearing personal testimonies from other men in the trades about, you know, the negatives and the sacrifices that they make for their families and their women. And, you know, so you know, you hear this story all the time. You know, the old Dear John letter for service members. All of a sudden, your wife or your girlfriend back home found another man, and you're just out there. You're taking bullets. You're taking bullets, and for what? What are you defending them for? Why should you defend them at that point, right? Why defend the behavior? Why defend the institution, you know, the civilization, you know, the absolute betrayal? Because all of a sudden you're just not there, right? And these sentiments and these feelings, you know, don't just apply to military people. They apply to first responders and to doctors, or, you know, anybody that does to serve somebody else. So support workers, you know. And I'm like, I do these videos right behind the mental hospital over here, right? This is the Ponds here in London. There's the fire stations over there, and that way, right? There's a retirement home over here, and then there's a veteran hospital that's right here, right? And this whole area was used in the Second World War for the testing of radar. And there used to be an environmental education center up there for the London School Board, the public school board. So, like, my history here runs, and my roots here run very deep, even though I didn't grow up here, right? I wasn't born here. I was born in Ajax, and I grew up in Barrie and in Severn Bridge, Oro. Went to church camps, went to Circle Square Ranch. You know, a completely different era than the young people that grow up now at this point, right? I might as well be an old man, right? Considering all the life experiences that I've had and all the people that I've been around. And if I'm going to correlate that, you know, again, if it is just my disappointments and my frustrations with other people and these social movements, because it's stupid. It's stupid to continue with them. And you know what? Young women now, they're stupid. Any woman under the age of 40 is just stupid. Just stupid. I have a hard time leveling with them. I have a hard time dealing with the behavior that is exacerbated by the promiscuity that's encouraged by dating applications and this, you know, single serving culture. the you know the high risk behavior of gay people, you know, and like I'm still friends. You know, if we're gonna go through this whole thing of bona fide, so to speak, I'm still friends, and not closely, to some gay people, but that doesn't matter. And it didn't used to matter. It was never about your sexual orientation until after, say about 2011, 2012. It didn't matter, right? Then all of a sudden, your sex and your gender and your sexual orientation became, or your where you came from, your identity, the identity politics came to the forefront, and that became the basis of which you were selected instead of upon merit, right? Or of competency. And this is why, different organizations, even in aviation, say like this one here, if you can see that, I'll call them out because, stupid women, frankly, in positions of power, think they know what power is because they've gone through these university programs, which are grooming programs, right? The indoctrination, the pump them out, just get them out there, let's get these SJWs out there, let's get these mold these minds into robots, into genderless, principleless, without scruples, manipulable people, postmodernism. And I try to approach this as academically as possible. And if we're going to talk about personal attributions, right? Like the reason why I have my grudges with the military and with cadets, and the same reason why a lot of people left, is because it then became acceptable, right? Same with scouts and cubs, the brownies, and the changeover from, you can have young women in scouts and so on and so forth, but just changing of the culture and trying to adapt to this subjectivity and identity politics, but really you're because there's gender roles and so on and so forth, that have to be enforced upon the children. And like I witnessed things in my first year by children that were repeating other children in my basic course at Trenton, because obviously I got to say these things because people are not listening, right? I can't get the attention of the Canadian Forces. I can't, right? As much as I tag them, as much as I call them, as much as I send them emails, as much as I raise a stink, nothing happens because they got limitations on what they can do. And I'm going to try and speak for the people that don't want to speak and can't speak because of operational security or whatever concerns that they have, or not getting involved in politics. Because frankly, I've stopped giving a shit. Like, I'm a civilian. I can do what I want. I can speak for these people, and I can, as I've said in other short videos, I want to serve the people that serve because, they go through enough already. And I've suffered enough by keeping my mouth shut and by trying to please people. So I'd rather be disagreeable and honest than I would anything else. And I'd rather return to being, close to the experience of my youth through 6 years of cadets, of being a drill sergeant, right? And being a DSM. Because, I was given privileges. I was given good experiences in my youth, and having coming up from Cubs, and then Scouts, and then into cadets. So, being in leadership position, even from a very young age, to say like from the age of like 10 or 11, and you just again seeing some of the things and the changes and the over acceptance and almost the promotion, and then the grooming that happens, or that was happening even at the turn of the century, the year 2000 forward, because there was obviously a problem with sexual assault, and the pedophilia. Otherwise, programs like Sharp and CHAP wouldn't exist. And frankly, the change of the program falls in line with the cutbacks because of not wanting to promote this idea of toxic masculinity, this aggressiveness, and then trying to step away, obviously because of the child soldier agreement with the UN, But furthering upon that, this soft mentality of the children can't make their own decisions, the children can't adapt, they can't be like soldiers, they can't organize, we don't want them being anywhere near guns, we don't want them knowing tactics, we don't want them knowing anything, we don't want them to be independent people, we don't want them to have a semblance of trust, and we don't want them to form a society, right? If we're going to go by opinions and observations. And again, saying things that are not being listened to. In my first year at Trenton, right, I saw other children repeat sex acts in the barracks at night, hopping from one bunk to the next. And they wouldn't be doing these things unless they were experiencing something at home, right? And that scared the shit out of me as a young child at like 12 or 13 years old, calling home to my mother and just bawling my eyes out and saying, I don't want to be here anymore. Right? The pervasiveness of the perversions, and the fact that young people do a lot of strange things, but it's the history of manipulation and the abuses of power within the military are why people don't join. It's why the enrollment rate went down, and then after seeing and being treated into being a staff cadet and being treated differently because of my identity and the representation of what I am, right, as a Christian man, right, and being this skin color and being of a straight orientation, and having a transgender soldier come up to me and tell me to shut my mouth, because that's the truth of the matter. I can act out the entire scene at Blackdown Cadet Camp. I really can, because the issue came up because I was selected to head and create the concept for a mural for Sunset Parade, which was the anniversary for Vimy Ridge and the D-Day landing in 2004. And this is why and then having things happen like inter-squadron politics, where other people get selected and brought up, pushed through, and then you don't, but you're the one doing all the work, right? You're there for all the programs, you're putting in all the effort that you can, you're trying to be the best person that you can, despite that you don't even want to be there anymore. That fuck it attitude. I'll just stick around, even if I fail. I'll just do it again. I'll try again. And within the squadron, my special privilege at one point was there was an influx of recruits, and I had two NCMs, right, corporals or sergeants as a flight sergeant, and we headed up the recruit flight, and I had over 100 young people, 12 or 13-year-olds, doing drill at the same time. That's power. That's real power, right? And you don't abuse it. And obviously, this counterculture, or this this new idealism for this new world order, because that's what it is, with under the guise of the rainbow flag, through the prism of transgenderism, and the fact that people within my squadron, one of the women in particular that actually went to Trent, she went forward with this transgender ideology and became a man, right? And she's a doctor, right? And then stuff, just trying to give, be an example for other people while going to Trent University and not giving a shit, right? There was never a problem. There was never ever an issue as to treating people differently, because Christianity tells you, the obvious, which is, hate the sin, not the sinner, right? And don't shove your religion or your ideology down other people's throats. And that's the gist of the matter, right? This is part of the reason why I'm so frustrated, because this preferential treatment and these inherent biases towards people within by the education system, because it's fairly obvious and it's well documented that the university enrollment rates have preference and success to women than they do to men, because of we're talking about say the change and the massive change that was brought about by the internet in the early 2000s versus the education that was in person by lecture and by textbook, And so, you know, the universities were panicking, and you have this whole, you know, the adult daycare system, you know, concept, where you're basically, you're putting children into compromised positions financially, so that they become slaves thereafter, right? The whole debt-free graduate thing was still possible at that time, but now it's completely obliterated because of how the economics work, and because of what happened after 2008. This is, you know, this is the experience of many people, not just me, right? That's just the reality of the situation. And you know, and then this is why I turned down my commission at 19 years old, right? I didn't want to become part of this grooming program, of this mass acceptance, and this over over publishing, this push of this gender ideology, and this rainbow warrior mentality of, you know, of mass acceptance. You know, it's not up to you. Sorry, it's the individual to define themselves, and not the society and so forth. But we have to have rubrics, we have to have rules, we have to have a foundation, we have to have walls, we have to have boundaries, right? Because in the ecosystem, as I said before in the beginning of the first volume, that you know, when there's too many predators, the ecosystem collapses, right? If there's no eagles, there's no owls, there's no hawks, then you know, then the system also collapses. You got too many rodents, you got too many that's it. You got too many rodents, you got too many deer, you don't have enough coyotes, you don't have enough wolves. You know, this is what happens. Everything in balance, right? But you know, has been done in effort over many years to collapse the society and demoralize, because that is the point of Bolshevik, you know, Jewish communism, right? Just to call it out, because even the rabbi, I don't remember his name right now, on YouTube here, says that that's the dark side of Judaism, which is Kabbalah, right? Is the black magic, and this wishy-washy idealism, and religiosity, the theology behind it, that which influences further into the secular world, you know. And you know, again, this is why I'm very disappointed by losing friends over stupid stuff like this, right? Because I don't abandon people. I don't want to be abandoned. I don't. So I won't treat people like shit. I won't. You know, and if I do, I apologize. But frankly, we all come to a point of stress, and we all blow our tops. And you know, when you got to get something done, you got to put your differences aside, right? That's very much a military mentality, or tradesperson mentality, because without it, there is no society. And a lot of men give up their lives just for you to watch this video. That's all for now.